on the topic of CV Clinic. My name is Sarah Mostafshar and I will be your host during the next hour. Please note that this event is going to be recorded just for the presentation part, and all the questions and answers, it will not be recorded. And please share your LinkedIn in the Padlet. You can find the address in the Padlet in the chat box. Also, please write all your questions beforehand in the Padlet as well. As you know, this event has been organized by Modern in Business International. For those of you who are new to Modern in Business, I'll just briefly let you know who we are and what we are doing. Modern in Business International is a nationwide network that supports career-oriented mothers in balancing work and family. Our aim is to provide opportunity for skill development, networking, and career advancement. We arrange discussion events, company visits, training sessions, workshop, mentoring parties, and other interesting happenings. Also, we aim to integrate all international talents to the Finnish society. During today, we are going to talk about how to write a good CV and how to be visible more in LinkedIn and about your network. All the presentation is going to be done by Ludmila Tomperi. She is a professional recruiter at Zalando Helsinki. After that, we are going to have the discussion for question and answer. Ludmila also has dedicated her time to comments on some of the CVs that you are going to send it, and that is going to be done based on lottery. We also have another great opportunity for 2 lucky people to participate in our mentoring program. That's also going to be selected by lottery. So please, to participate in this lottery, share your LinkedIn in the Padlet so we can choose your name based on the LinkedIn profile or email address. Thank you, everyone. The stage is yours, Ludmila.
Hello all, can you hear me? Can you see me? All good?
Yes.
Great. Well, first of all, welcome everyone. It's really, I'm glad to see active people, and I'm really happy I could help this community. I will try to keep my presentation today short. Sarah will be helping me with the slides. And just beforehand, please excuse me, there will be incoming little assistance at some point, so don't mind the noise. If you have any questions or anything, please put your questions, as Sarah mentioned, to the Padlet. If there is something you think is missing, you haven't heard anything, I think we will be sharing the slides, so all the information will be present there. And also later you can ask me questions in the LinkedIn. I will try to help you with everything. So first of all, well, if Sarah can click, yes. So a small Zalando intro, as I'm representative of my company, I will tell you a bit more about us, and I will tell you how I ended up to be a recruiter and how I believe that recruiter is actually not the evil barrier at the finding a job, but we are actually people who are matching the right people with the right job opportunities. So I'm hoping this messenger for you that we are the people who want to meet you and want to help you actually to step into the career. Then I will cover a little bit about what can be done, and then we will move to the questions and discussion time. So I'm not sure if you have heard about Zalando as a tech company. Zalando is an online shopping company. So just quickly and short, we're not only the fashion company, but we are one of the biggest IT companies in Europe. We presented in most of, and there are different market spaces, and right now it's one of the biggest international companies in Europe. So the revenue of 2018 has been over 5.4 billion. Over 4,000 product choices, a lot of new brands, and actually, sorry to say this, Corona boosted Zalando even further. We have been launching really good projects about how to bring offline shops online. We have offices in different parts of Europe. Our headquarters in Berlin. So in Berlin, we have actually around 4,000 employees working in the tech. So that's why I'm also representing myself as a tech recruiter. It's not that much different from overall general recruitment, but it might have a bit different aspect when we are looking for people on our field. For Helsinki office, the office is actually open only for 4 years, 4.5. I would say it's quite young. We have over 100 people and it's pure tech. So keep an eye on our openings. If you're working in technologies, it can be, of course, a bit different than sales and marketing. And a lot of people say that the tech people are easier to find the job. It could be that it's might be a bit easier depending on the Finnish market because we are requiring the English language. But bear with me, it's not all that scary. For tech people, sometimes it might be easier to find the niche technologies or niche jobs, but we are all there. I have been there too. I'm also very often like on the market when I'm looking for jobs, so I'm on your side as well. So currently in Helsinki, as it's mostly tech side, we have software engineers, product designers, product management people, and data scientist people. And the rest of sales and marketing people are locating in our HQ in Berlin. When I say that, keep your mind open and look for the job, not only what you're exactly doing right now, but more what you have been interested or some sites, because it's coming from the personal experiences. In my background, I actually have been, I graduated from marketing from Haaga-Helia, Finland, and I have been working as a salesperson. I have been working as shooting range instructor. I have been working on the kindergarten as an assistant. So I have really strange path to that role that I'm working right now. I joined Zalando as a sourcer. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. So sourcer is pretty much a headhunter. So my job was to recognize and find profiles and to find those people that we actually need. And very often I have to understand the technologies that we're working on. I have to understand what team is looking for. I have to understand what stakeholders are looking for, what actual product they're working on. So the recruiter needs to understand not only the buzzwords of the profile they're looking for, but they actually need to understand what is coming behind, what kind of people we're looking for. So this being a sourcer actually helped me to understand how to work with the LinkedIn profiles and how to work with the CVs and how to see the good CVs from bad CVs, or there are actually not such thing as a bad CV, it's more unorganized CV. So I hope that today view or today's presentation helps you actually to take a fresh look at your CV and maybe make some changes or to see how it can work for you better for your benefit. So we are moving to the interviews and about CV and your LinkedIn, the cover letters. I actually would like to thank my team. I'm working in a small team in Helsinki. So that presentation we used before. So it's partially my team have been involved creating that presentation. When you're thinking about your CV, think that as a recruiter, I have 20 to 70 CVs per day to review. So when you look at your time you spend to read it through. In average, I can spend between 10 to 15 seconds on the CV. It has to be clear. When you have a bunch of CVs, of course, if you have 2, 3, 5 coming, then it's easier, but you can read them through very careful. When you have 20 to 30, 50 CVs per day, you kind of have to look only to the specific sites. So the CVs that right now presented on the slide, it's okay, it's clear, but it's a bit overloaded. if I need to find the information, the useful information for me to see what I'm looking for, I need to look and read through everything. So what I would actually recommend for you when you're looking for where you want to apply, create the dummy CV in a way that build the CV profile for yourself, where you have all the information that you need, and then work with it as a Lego blocks. Apply for each position, have the CV for each position. Yes, it sounds a bit time consuming, but it will benefit you. Look what they're looking for the position. For example, if you're applying for sales position and you have been working on some, take that block and highlight it in your CV. This profile or the summary on top of CV, it also helps us to understand what you're exactly looking for. The rule of 1-2 pages CV, I would say it's a bit silly because some pages, some CVs just can't fit in 1 page, but try not to make it more than 2 pages. And some information, also you can, Sarah, put the next CV. It looks also, the next slide, it looks a bit different. Mind what you're applying for. If you're applying as a marketing person, you might need to show how you can work with visual design, how your CV can be more visual. So if you're applying for something as an accountant, it's easier when it's clean and numbers. So it's also depends what you're applying for. Your CV is representing yourself. Picture or no picture? It's a hard question. If you are thinking about your picture that I'm not sure, then maybe take it off. Unfortunately, bias is a big part of the recruiters. I personally also have been fighting for myself when working with a bias. When you have the candidate come in, or you're thinking like, I'm not sure if that candidate is good because she has, I don't know, 10 kids at home, and I'm not sure if the person will be dedicated for the role. We're also people as recruiters, so all this bias is building up still on the CVs, on the pictures. So as general information as you put on your CV actually makes you easier for us recruiters to read and not build these bias informations. To the GDPR in Europe, we are not allowed, and I hope there are no recruiters who are asking your marital status or religion or any personal information. If you don't feel like sharing it, don't share. If you feel that it's important part of your life, you can share it as well, but also mind what kind of representation it will build when you're discussing it with a recruiter. Next slide. A bit about their CV. So it needs to be clean and clear and very understandable. Experience and your education. So list the measurable descriptors. List your important projects that you have been working on. Pictures or not pictures, I have mentioned. Content information, very important. In Finland, actually, we're not asking also the referrals. Referrals, it's good as well to put beforehand if your ex-employer or ex-colleagues can recommend you. If you have links to LinkedIn, GitHub, some other portfolios you have, it will be easier for the recruiter to see what you have been working on and where you participated. Hobbies, interests, that as well. Of course, it's good to show that you're an active person, but I'm not sure how it helps that you like swimming every morning somewhere in the Baltic Sea. I'm not sure how much it helps for the recruiter to understand how you will work well. Sometimes if it's taking the space where you can put your project or where you can put your description of yourself, maybe leave it aside. But as I said, think about your CV as a Lego blocks. Think how you can have it for each position. LinkedIn. Nowadays, we are represented in the social media. Please think how you represent it there. all the subjects that you're discussing, be active, comment on other posts, write your own posts, being presented, building your own brand, actually, or a job of your dreams. You can see the representation of the LinkedIn. As I mentioned before, when I was working as a sourcer, I had to look for the names, for the titles. Be mindful about the title you put on your LinkedIn. You can see this, Mary Mack actually puts it lyrical gangster. That would be really hard to find her. It also depends what you're looking for your LinkedIn. If you don't want to be headhunted, if you don't want to be contacted, you can make a fancy name. But if you want to be contacted by people, make it as clear as possible. If you're working for the sales representative role, put it there, sales representative. If you're working in marketing, don't put the marketing wizard or marketing guru. It also doesn't really give you or give us recruiters much understanding what you have been looking. Project manager, yes. Try to think these titles and buzzwords that people might be looking for you. LinkedIn nowadays, like a Google, when recruiters go there, we put information, or we put the words, we put tags that we're looking for. Market trend whisperer. That would be really hard to find the person if I would be looking for marketing manager or marketing director. LinkedIn, working on the keywords. When we are doing the LinkedIn search, it actually shows in your profile where it posted. So when you're working on your LinkedIn, this is also a CV, but it actually gives you more space and place to write about yourself. Use it. Use on top of the LinkedIn, you have this summary. Use it. Write it about yourself, what you're doing, how you work with other people. Try to avoid the cliche words that I'm hardworking and very positive person. It's really great, but try to think, who exactly are you? I like to work on the projects that actually help the world, or I like to work on the projects that are challenging. I like to learn the new things while I'm working through the projects. I like to work under stress, or vice versa. I'm not very happy to work on the stressful information or under the stress. All that information is actually very useful, and LinkedIn is very good that you can put there more information. You can share there the projects you have been working on. You can link the companies you have been working on, and it's your platform. Use a LinkedIn as much as you can. Try to rethink about it. Try to put the picture and the header that actually catch you, that actually bring the attention to your profile. When you build your profile, ask 1 or 2 friends to comment on it, what they think. When they open it, what they think about it. Like you can see this blurred profile, putting beers there. Well, maybe if he's working as a DJ and selling the beers, that might help. But if you're working for work in the company or in the bank sphere or something like that, that's probably not the best representation of yourself. So mind what you put on the social media. Mind what you put there. Maybe LinkedIn, not the best place to put your pictures in the bikinis, but the best picture where you can share the projects. For example, you have been working on the orphan house projects, or you have been working on some other volunteers projects. Share all of that in the LinkedIn. That's your place. That's very helpful. So next slide, just a summary of what I just said. So think about your photo, put thoughts on your summary, add the keywords, but the keywords, be mindful about them. Make sure that your job titles are understandable and easy to find, and keep it up to date. That's also the reaching out to you, and you have changed your job already 2-3 years ago. That might be a bit challenging. Well, cover letters. Yes, just do it. I know it write one cover letter about yourself, which you can have like a base, like again Lego block, but mindful that better to write cover letter for each job. Again, I know that it's really time consuming. I understand you, but that will benefit you. Write why you applied for the job. The cover letter should definitely complement your CV. Do not try to list your CV over and over again, but try to explain the project you have mentioned in CV, why you're the person that needs to be there, your motivation, why you actually applied for the job. That maybe, yes, I have never worked as that titles that you're having. Absolutely can do person, and I know that I can do that in 2 present to you in a month what you're looking for. So you can actually describe in the cover letter your strong sides, but keep it simple as well, as we're receiving a lot of emails or a lot of CVs and applications. 2-3 blocks is more than enough. So half of the page cover letter is good. Don't try to write the essay for 2-3 pages. So tips and tricks for interviewing. If you made it through, congratulations. I would also recommend that even if you're not looking for a job, apply. Be visible, go. Interviews also need a practice. I myself I'm still going for interviews because you need to polish it all the time, because you can be a bit nervous. Pitch about you later pitch that you can tell about yourself in 2, 3, 4 sentences. But please be on time. If you're not on time, if you're being late, whether it's online interview or physical interview, please send a message. We're all people, anything can happen. People get sick into the traffic jam, but and be prepared when you're coming for interview and you're actually not sure what company you're applying. Really bad. If you are about make notes that you're not prepared, try.
Ludmila, we cannot hear you properly. Could you please check your connection?
There was a connection lost. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, now it's good.
Sarah, please comment that you can still hear me.
We can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I think there was a loss in connection.
Yeah.
So I don't know what was the last one. Okay, great. When we're talking about interviews, be on time and be prepared. You know what you're applying for. Make sure you know the company that you're coming to. Be prepared about the questions that they might ask you. And we can go for the next slide. So be honest, don't try to fool. Of course, you can tell that you have been doing that and this, and we cannot as recruiters really check what you have been working on. But mind that when you show how it will be feels that you cannot fulfill what you have been doing. Know your motivation. Usually when you come to the company and you know what you're doing or you know the company you're applying, you have your questions about position. It shows as well. Yes, Sarah, if you click. Describe yourself but online. We jump to the networking. That's also a very big part of your looking for a job. Social media, be presented there. Events, try to find events in your area. Go meet people. You never know which connections and which people actually. Okay, my voice is breaking. I'm sorry.
Ludmila, Rosa from the technical support.
Yeah.
Ludmila, can you turn your camera off? I think it might help.
Yeah. Okay. Let's try a bit more. So, can you hear me now? All good? Okay, good, great. So when I'm talking about networking, you never know actually which people you will meet. So social media, be presented, as I mentioned before about LinkedIn profile, be active in the discussions, be noticeable. Creating your own brand is very important when you're looking for a job or just even looking for yourself, what you want to do, when you're looking for your dream job. When you're building this networking, when you're going to events, you meet other people and you actually see which next steps you can do in your career or which next steps you can do when you're trying to find yourself, whether it's coming to the companies that you never heard before and you want to apply to. So social media events, build your brand and visibility. This is very important. Remember that Finland is still a very small country and you never know which connection helps you. I'm not telling that, okay, that person that you met last week on the event will hire you, but maybe that person will actually mention to you the position that just opened in their company and you can apply to it. Consuming, sometimes energy consuming, but it worth it. Next. So our social media about Zalando, so you can find more information about us on the LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. That's also being about building our own brand as employees and employers, that we are people that representing the company. We are the brand of the company. It's not only that Zalando is a brand, but we actually ourselves is brand. And for the next slide, there is information, my LinkedIn profile and my email. So please connect with me. And just mind that as I'm right now on the maternity leave, my Zalando email is not available. So please use another email or better LinkedIn profile. And I really hope that was useful. I was a bit rushing and there was connection break, but if you have any questions, I think now we could talk about them. And if there is anything else I could help with, I'm here for you. And thank you.
And getting a CV in front of you.
I would say that I'm actually looking for the structure, very popular in universities in Finland and in Europe. They're recommending this CV, Europass CV. Please don't use it. It's very confusing. So I would say when I just open CV, the first what I'm looking for, how it's structured, so that the person who wrote it is not jumping from year to year. The education and the relevant experience is the first thing that I'm looking at.
Okay. And the next question, do you read any CV without cover letter?
We do, of course. I would actually say that there are maybe only 10% who includes the cover letter with CVs. But I would recommend to spend your time and write a cover letter. But of course, you can just shoot and send your CV. I cannot guarantee that all recruiters do that, but me and my team, we personally do read through all the CVs that come in, even if they're not relevant. Very often, even though we are hiring only software engineers, very often we receive CVs which are out of our scope. It can be salespeople, it can be office assistants. We still look them through.
Okay.
There is always opportunity for different people and different backgrounds.
And next question, should your LinkedIn profile list all the details about each role, similar to the master CV you used as a Lego blocks?
The LinkedIn is actually the best source where you can put everything without the limits what you want to tell. When you write CV, you just mention in one sentence, for example, the project you have been working on. But in LinkedIn, you can put documents, you can add slides, you can add the presentation there. So use it because there are no limits and you can put as much information there as you can, and it's very useful.
Okay, and how about like, do you like get the CV from LinkedIn? Do you read that kind of CV that has been transferred from CV?
We also,
sorry,
yeah,
the CVs that has been transferred from LinkedIn. Yeah,
yeah, I understood what you mean. Yes, it's readable. It's okay. Sometimes we don't have much, but for example, if the person is applying and in the application is, here's my LinkedIn link, that's a bit odd. It doesn't show any motivation. Of course, you can yourself download your LinkedIn CV and send it to us. That's already at least shows that you did a one step, that you actually download your CV and not just sending a link to us.
Okay. And the next question is about the language. Is it necessary to have two LinkedIn profiles in Finnish and in English? What language is preferred if I am looking for a job in Finland?
That's really interesting and tricky question. I would say it really depends on the area that you're working on. If you're mostly working with the Finnish language, maybe it's useful to have in Finnish language that you can show that your Finnish language on the level. But in general, I would say LinkedIn is used for a platform. So most of the CVs there are in English. Of course, if the company only speaks Finnish and they don't use any English, that would be tricky if your profile is in English. So it really depends on which area you're applying or like which companies you're looking for. Okay. I would say that if Finnish language is a must, then keep it there in two languages.
Yes. And the next question is about lack of experience. If I don't have relevant experience, but I have education in an industry, I want to develop my career, what would you recommend to do?
Networking, as I said, look for there are a lot of sources right now online where you can, for example, take some free courses or some webinars or somewhere that you can go the right direction. And apply, be bold. That's the highest recommendation. When I applied to the sourcer, I had no idea what is it. I never worked as a sourcer. I never worked as a recruiter. Just apply and show your motivation. This can do, I will do attitude is highly appreciated. If you can do your job, nothing will stop you. Of course, this lack of experience and first job usually is the hardest one. Just do it. Just be bold. Pretty much start somewhere. As soon as you start somewhere, next step will be easier. Try to find a part-time job. If you're working or if you are on unemployed, you can get from Kela this that you work for the employer doesn't pay you, but actually Kela pays you. Työvoimatoimitus, I think it's called. Find the company you want to work like that and get from Kela proof that you can do it. Come to them and tell, look, you're actually not going to spend any money on me. I will come and work. Here's the agreement with Kela. try to do it like that. Be motivated, show your motivation. That actually might be a good step for you in the company.
Yes, and the next question is about branding. What do you mean by building your own brand, or how should we build our own brand?
Think about yourself as a product, or about yourself as a label. Like, yes, you need to sell yourself when you're looking for a job. When I have 10, 20 CVs, they start to look all the same for me. So when you're building your own brand, think how your picture, how your posts represent yourself, what people think when they open your LinkedIn profile, what discussions you're having there. That might be sounds a bit challenging, but once you start to go that direction, it will get easier and easier each time. Building your brand, it's in a way to be presented there, to be visible. So everything is part of your brand. The courses you're taking, the projects you are working on, everything that can describe the way you are, everything that describe the way you are working, everything is part of your brand, because other people don't know you. So you need to represent yourself somehow. And all these little pieces will help the strangers to understand who you are and how you're working. And it will be easier for recruiters to see how you can actually benefit for their company. I hope that helped.
Yes, of course. And the next question, I think you have already answered, how the candidates without the relevant education can stand out against the competition. I think it was about networking and
I would say,
job.
yeah, being bold and being this can-do attitude, it's actually a lot. You can say exactly in your cover letter that I know that I don't have this experience, but I know how to make it better. Highlight how your experience actually complement the role you're applying it. Think out of the box. Sometimes the recruiters and the people that hire you, they also look very cliche. So when you put this out of box thinking, how they benefit by hiring you, that will help them to understand why they need to hire you.
Thank you. The next question, are ATC robots used extensively to reduce the number of CVs to take to next stage of interviewing?
I think actually through the GDPR, when you're applying, you should have the information whether it's screened by the robot or by the recruiters. I would say that nowadays, none of those programs are good enough to screen people well. But if you want to trick the robot, the keywords is a thing. So if you put these keywords, the robot will pass you through pretty much. But I personally read every single CV that comes.
Okay. And how recruiters see a person who is having a transition from one field to another?
I would say if you would ask me that question 5-6 years ago, I would say that would be really odd. But nowadays you can see it more and more often, especially when we're talking about the current situation with the virus and people are actually looking for the new jobs or new fields. I wouldn't say that it's bad or strange. It's quite common nowadays, but it's also good if you can explain why you change the field or like show your interest in the field.
Yes. And next question, which parts of the LinkedIn are the most important in terms of keywords, title, introduction, or work experience?
Introduction and experience. Also in the, like you have those in LinkedIn experience where you can choose, I think up to 20 your strongest parts. Those are found when you're looking in the recruiter LinkedIn profile when we start to look for the words. It's actually looks through the whole profile, but it's easier to see when it's in your in these titles and in the summary on top.
Yes, and next question, should we mention about salary in the cover letter?
No, well, I would say it's really cultural. The money can be a bit tricky thing. Very often when people apply, they actually don't really want to talk about money as well. When you're talking to a recruiter, we do not want to overpromise. So that would be really silly from my side to tell you that, okay, we're hiring and we're paying 7,000 because, well, it depends. Like, okay, if I have a position of the director whose salary is 7,000, then I have this information. But very often we are, as recruiters, we have, okay, now we have this position and the budget is between that and that. So that would be a fair game when you're actually discussing it later with recruiter. You can say very openly that, okay, I want to talk about money to understand what I will get when I'm applying. I would say don't be shy when talking about money, but don't put it that like, okay, I want to get the salary of 2,000, 5,000, 6,000. Of course, if it's very important for you, you can put it a number there, but it might actually also play quite a bad for your CV that the recruiter might see and like, okay, that person asks too much or too little, because you need to understand also what is in your market is the salaries that. Of course, if you're earning, let's say 2,500, doesn't make sense for you to go to next position that is 2,000. Of course, you want to get 3.5, or further, whatever they can give you. But as well, it might be that the company is willing to pay you 3.5, and you don't know when you say, okay, I'm ready to work for 2.5. So it's a bit a game, but I would say it needs to be discussed with a recruiter. So the recruiter shouldn't share it with anyone, and it's easier for you to have this open conversation during the process.
I actually have had one experience myself that in the job application, they were asking me, it was written that send your requested salary, but I didn't know, should I request that salary? Because I didn't even know how much I should request. So should I just write, well, I'm flexible, or like something like this, or I shouldn't give any number?
Flexible is actually, yes, flexible to get out from that. Of course, if you are sure about the numbers, if you asked other people in the field and you know more or less what is the average salary in that field and you're happy with that number, you can put a number. But I would be very careful. I would say this flexible or open for the discussion. Maybe flexible is also not playing really well trick to you, because that means that you're flexible to get the lower salary, but open for the discussion would be a better statement.
Another actual question I have myself, how is it like when we like we can get the average salary from one industry, from some web page or lite. So should we always give the top salary, like the highest amount, or the average one if they're asking us?
That's also really tricky. If you're really bold, and let's say that the salary is between 2.5 and 3.5, of course, if you're sure, you can just shoot it this 3.5. But I would say again that open for the discussions, that because you need more information what they're actually looking for. The positions are different. If you are going to work as an office assistant and your work duties will be answering the phone calls and welcoming the guests, it's one thing. If you have the long list of talking to maintenance, doing that and this and that, of course your salary should be higher than that. So you should understand what you're actually asking money for, that do not underestimate yourself. I understand as well when you have been out of the market, if you are looking for the first job, sometimes it can be really tricky, and this is usually the biggest problem when you ask too low salary. and then it's a bit harder to climb up from it. But also, if you ask too high, it can be that people who are recruiting you will think that you have too much ego to ask too much money.
Yeah. And next question, do you think that activity in politics or in trade unions should be mentioned?
If it's a big part of you, if it benefits your CV, if it benefits your profile, if it show to the employer who you are, then put that information. But otherwise, I would say that's maybe not a really relevant information. If it's relevant to the position you're applying, yes. But for example, if you're applying for the position and then you're mentioning that you're Christian, Muslim, or Jew, how does that benefit the position you're applying to? So maybe it can be put aside.
Yes. And how to differentiate between responsibilities and technical expertise?
Once again?
How to differentiate between responsibilities and technical expertise? Well, I mean, I actually don't know exactly what I want to do that. Maybe
can the person who
how you
asked
want
like
to separate them? I don't understand the question properly myself.
Can the person who asked the question like describe a bit better the question, because I don't really get it.
Yeah. And the last question, it seems, do we need to contact to, the rest hasn't been written, probably to HR, or do you read, do you go and read the first CVs if they have contacted to you?
Well, not really. I would say it's like very common actually to show your interest and motivation by sending a follow-up, but also don't overdo it. Sometimes it's good if I receive a follow-up or if I receive a call, but also if you just send CV, don't call right away. Give it like, for example, 3-4 days. I would say the first call you can give in a week. And then if you haven't heard anything, send the follow-up message or give a call, because sometimes it can be that CV ended up in the spam folder. So I would recommend that, like, yeah, be active, but also try not to overdo it. Also very common that the recommendation that when you're, I have applied, ask some question. Try to think about some smart question. Don't ask something what I already mentioned in the job description. Try to think about something that actually will stand out for you, and not that like, oh, you have mentioned that you are represented in 5 countries. Is it true? So it's like, yes, the recruiter will notice you, but I'm not sure that it's exactly what you want to be noticed for. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you. And actually they have sent it that question, how to differentiate between responsibilities and the technical expertise. For example, if I am a student, then how I will differentiate these? Probably if she's a student and she's working at the same time.
But why do you need to differentiate it? I'm sorry, I'm not really getting the question.
Can I say now, because I asked this question?
Yeah.
Actually, I am a student now, and to ask, for example, if I'm now applying for a position for a job, and I have seen TVs, it is mentioned that you write that if you are now a student and you have earlier worked somewhere and you had some responsibilities. For example, if I'm working in a lab, then I have I do the experiments and all, and I design them. That is my responsibility, and the same kind of a thing I'm doing when I'm a PhD student also, right? Yeah. So I have this is kind of very you just say that I have been designing, planning, and executing my experiments in the lab, but when not explaining here the technique so much, is it okay to leave it like this and then just to explain the techniques more in details in when I am explaining the technical expertise?
Yes, that would be perfect, because I think the person who will be looking in your field, they will understand what you mean by what you just said.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so then you can describe more, or again, you can describe more in the LinkedIn. Because if you put too much information, what exactly you're doing in the lab, how you're collecting the data and how you're proceeding,
Yeah.
it will
Yeah.
overtake the space and overflow to your CV.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think it's just 10 minutes left, and I think we need to go through lottery. Probably, I don't know, Rosa or Inka is doing the lottery for checking the